Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of N Health with Nick and Jiordana, and this week we're going to be changing it up a little and doing something a little more up my alley, which is going to be talking about exercise and energy. I'm a huge fan of exercise myself. I love, lifting weights, mountain biking, jiu-jitsu, like whatever it is, I love doing when it comes to being physical, but sometimes I don't have the energy for it. So instead of just taking pre-workouts or caffeine pills and stuff like that, we wanted to talk about some more natural, sort of safer alternatives to the traditional pre-workouts. If it works for you, is what it is, but we just wanted to kind of address some of the more negative side effects of it and some, really nice alternatives to go with it. So, Jiordana, what are some bad things about pre-workout and some of the good as well? We don't want to just throw it under the bus.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm actually, a recovering pre-workout user. I used to train for marathons, and I would take double the dose. Mm-hmm. So already there's a really high amount of caffeine in them, more so than a couple of cups of coffee. I think it's 4 cups of coffee typically is in one scoop, and I would take double the dose and then run for all of eternity, and then midday I would get this horrible brain fog, and I wouldn't be able to focus, and this happened over the course of a few months and then years, and then all of a sudden I had a huge adrenal crash. So ultimately the high caffeine levels, the really heavy stimulants, are going to have negative effects for your adrenal system, which is your system that responds to stress and produces all the stress hormones like adrenaline, norepinephrine, and so on. So caffeine is actually a really helpful fitness supplement when it comes to taking a normal amount. So it's
within reason.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to help to stimulate blood flow to the brain. It also helps to aid in muscle repair. So you're going to be less sore after taking caffeine, and it aids in fat metabolism. So you'll notice that weight loss, and it's an appetite suppressant too. So I'm sure that you've had a cup of coffee instead of breakfast in the morning, skipped breakfast.
You're okay till 11, and then all of a sudden you're like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So pre-workouts aren't all bad.
Yeah.
Most of the ingredients in there are amino acids that are going to help to aid in energy production and muscle recovery, as well as preventing muscle degradation, so preventing the muscle from breaking down. Just one more other negative thing is that most of them are sugar-free, which is great, but and they are still sweet. So instead of having sugar, they usually do sugar substitutes, anything ending in ose, fructose, sucrose, and those ones again have very detrimental impacts on the body.
Would the pre-workouts have any kind of negative effect on the gut as well? Or?
Absolutely, yeah. Especially if they're taken on an empty stomach, it's just a lot packed into one, right? So, and then if you already have an inflamed gut, like IBD or IBS, the pre-workouts are going to help to increase that inflammation.
I know for myself, once I actually started switching to, I know for the mornings at least with caffeine, I actually noticed making what they call a bulletproof coffee.
Yeah,
seemed to work really well for me, which is just coconut oil, butter, and coffee blended with protein powder. Protein powder is optional, but that's just one of those things. And I definitely noticed a bit of a difference in my energy, appetite stuff. It was pretty cool. So at the end of the day, I'm still addicted to caffeine, so I'm definitely interested in finding out what some of this stuff is. Because even after today, I want to go to the gym, but I won't be getting until 8, and it's okay, full day at work. I want to drink a cup of coffee before I go, but I also don't want to be up till 2 o'clock in the morning and screw everything else in my life. So what are some of my options for that?
Yeah, so just kind of piggybacking off of the bulletproof coffee that you just mentioned.
Oh yeah, going into that.
Yeah, so that's actually a really great alternative. And even though there is caffeine involved, 1 cup of coffee is not going to kill you.
No.
And so, but however, if you wanted to include coffee, great. If not, you could also just do the MCT oil on its own. So Nutritionist actually has the MCT oil and the MCT powder, if the powder is a little bit more convenient for you if you're traveling or whatever. But basically, MCT oil is really interesting because MCT stands for medium chain triglyceride. So basically, medium chain triglycerides just mean fat. So there's short chain, medium chain, long chain, and the medium chains actually cannot be absorbed by the body. So instead, they just travel in your bloodstream and they find adipose tissue, so stored fat, and they put that fat into the bloodstream to use as energy. So on top of the fact that it's also an appetite suppressant, and it's going to help to it's going to give you energy on its own. It's also going to help your body use stored fat as energy.
Oh wow, that's actually pretty conducive to like the whole fitness thing. Generally speaking, people want to gain muscle and lose fat as a rule. I mean, obviously everyone has different goals, but the majority of us tend to fall into that category. So that's actually like pretty amazing.
Yeah, and when it comes to like carbs versus fat for energy production, like this is kind of a whole different topic for another time.
Yeah, I mean, that goes into like what you do for sports, like health conditions. So many variables go into like what you want to put in your body nutrition-wise from an exercise perspective, for sure. For sure.
But when it comes to like the difference between the two, so carbohydrates is like more quick energy, whereas MCT oil or the fat-based energies are going to be more like endurance-based long-term.
100%, yeah.
Yeah.
I know with like the fitness side of the equation, when it comes to exercise and like our energy system usage and stuff like that, which gets a little interesting in my opinion. So for like the like shorter high intensity burst stuff, so if you're doing a CrossFit class, interval sprinting, carbs aren't necessarily a bad thing because that readily available, sugar is going to be a good thing. But if you're getting into a position of like marathon running, there isn't as much oxygen available in those equations. So like looking for a more sustained energy source is definitely going to be probably a better option in that regard. So it's kind of cool to start navigating all that stuff as well. But at the end of the day, whatever works for you from that regard, for sure.
Yeah. And then as well, like if it's also like keto friendly if you're following the keto diet, not that I'm recommending you do. But another thing that we could kind of put in combination to that, that kind of circulates around the whole using fat for energy is the raspberry ketones. So this is another interesting supplement. So ketones, I'm sure we've all heard of ketosis by now. So ketones are essentially just your body's way of using fat instead of carbs for energy. So the raspberry ketones are going to help to improve like fat metabolism, and they're also going to help to boost energy by giving you like already the ketones to use instead of your body using carbohydrates.
It's kind of like a little cheat code.
It is,
essentially, for like switching over your energy systems a little faster than they'd want to.
Yeah, absolutely. It's also the raspberry ketones help to increase the specific hormone that produces metabolism.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's pretty handy.
It is, yeah. So this is one that you can take like even if you're not working out, but if you are going to go for a workout, I would recommend taking this on an empty stomach about like 20 to 40 minutes before you exercise.
No, I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of excited to hear about like the caffeine alternatives personally. Just because I know a lot of people like working out late at night, but also enjoy sleeping. So what can we do to increase energy without losing sleep?
Absolutely, good question. So we've got two here. The first one is the maca. So there are so many types of maca. I'm sure you've heard of red maca, black maca, green maca. All of them have different functions. So some macas are better for women, some are better for men, some are better for energy. Today we picked the black maca, although Nutritionist has a very wide selection of maca, and it's all like Peruvian based, and that's the best one. It's the premium one. So the black maca is really great for energy, and what maca is it's an adaptogen. So it's going to help to like balance the body. So maca works on a few different levels for bodybuilding. So first of all, it's anabolic, which means that it like builds up, right? So it's going to help to prevent muscle from breaking down, and also help to actually increase muscle function, increase the size of the muscle by building it up.
Exactly. It's also going to say that's a really popular word amongst the bodybuilding community, and they're very obsessed with that. So if you're in that world, pay attention.
Maca is actually being used a lot now for bodybuilding,
which is really cool, actually.
Absolutely, because it's a natural hormone balancer as well, right? So instead of taking steroids, maca is going to help to increase testosterone,
which can be a lot safer as an alternative.
Absolutely, a lot safer.
A lot safer.
So simultaneously, while it's anabolic and it's helping to increase testosterone and balancing hormones, like if you're female and you don't need any more testosterone, it's not going to increase it past the point of what you need.
You're not going to end up walking around like a male bodybuilder.
Absolutely. It's a balance. It's an adaptogen, right? So it's going to balance, but it's also going to help to produce energy. So this is like it does fall into the stimulant category, but it's more like balanced stimulation versus the ginseng, which is like quite stimulatory.
So I guess on that, what are some of the benefits of ginseng? I know I've seen it sold at like a lot of health food stores, but like outside of that, I'm not personally too familiar with what it is.
Yeah, so there's, again, many different types of ginseng. So you're definitely going to want to look out for the Korean or the red ginseng versus the Siberian. I mean, they both have different functions. So the Siberian is more, ginseng is also an adaptogen. So again, it's going to balance out the hormones. So Siberian ginseng is more for like stress reduction, which is helpful with exercise. But the red Korean ginseng is going to have that stress balancing, but it's also going to be quite a stimulant.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and it's actually, I think it's one of the oldest herbs that's actually been used in endurance sports, like at an Olympic level.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that's good to know as well if you are worried about any kind of banned substances, ginseng is safe.
Yeah, and the good news about the maca and the ginseng is that although they are both stimulatory, because they're adaptogens, like if you're going to take it at 8 p.m. and then you want to go to sleep by 10, you shouldn't really have a problem.
Okay, awesome.
Depending on what type of workout you have and how your adrenals are are already.
And your outside of workout caffeine consumption and all these other factors that play a variable for sure.
Yeah, but these are, in fact, they kind of help with sleep as well.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So like would there be a half-life almost for ginseng in that sense? Like do you have to worry about a little bit of like maybe you have to wait an hour before I go to bed after taking it, or is there...
Yeah, so Siberian ginseng, you could pretty much take any time.
Okay,
but
cool.
when it comes to the red Korean ginseng, it's not so much that there's a half-life, it's just... sometimes when we exercise, we increase cortisol, right? So sometimes that cortisol is really hard to turn off when it's time for bed. So the ginseng is going to help to like boost the energy while you need it, but then it's also going to help to regulate the stress response, right? So as you're getting into bed and you're slowing down, it's going to help to bring you back down so that you're not still in like a heightened state.
Okay, cool. That actually sounds like a really awesome thing for me to start mixing in, just because I noticed when I get home from a late night workout, I can't just turn off my body to a certain degree. So that actually sounds like something I want to try out in my next workout for sure. So yeah, I mean, with all that being said, to each their own, but I think it's something to be mindful of in terms of, consumption and what you're putting in your body, especially if you're an athlete. I mean, at the end of the day, you're doing all this work to make yourself healthier, and it kind of seems counterintuitive to start putting some stuff in your body that might not match that, right? So, feel free to do a little more research on these guys, but I'm a huge fan of everything we have on the table here.
Yeah.
And the Bulletproof Coffee one as well, if you guys are ever curious, there's tons and tons of recipes online. They're super simple. You just blend your coffee and oil and you're pretty much good to go. So I recommend it. I think it's an awesome little snack. Yeah. So that's everything for today when it comes to like the exercise and the pre-workout. Obviously, if you guys have any questions, feel free to write them below, and we'll be happy to get back to you as soon as we possibly can. Otherwise, we'll see you guys next week.